Did you miss us? We're back. Welcome to season 2 of Spotlight on the Arts. My name is Johnny Miranda, your host for the evening, and welcome to the show brought to you by the Chicopee Cultural Council. Today, we have a special guest, world-renowned international fashion designer, Justin Haynes from Jus10H. Justin Haynes, international fashion designer, is here on Spotlight on the Arts. Justin Haynes has won the Top Entrepreneur of 2020 on USA Today. He has won Top Business Leader of 2020 on Yahoo Finance, and he has been part of the greatest fashion shows in the world, the New York Fashion Week, the Paris Fashion Week. Justin, welcome to our show. Tell us, how does it feel for this to be your year, your season, and to be recognized for something you've worked so hard for?
Well, thank you for having me, number one. Number two, it feels amazing because things just kind of happened out of the blue. This is a childhood dream, started 13 years ago, and today, if I look at everything that's happened, it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
So 13 years ago, young you, thinking of becoming a fashion designer, or was it something different that then became fashion design?
No. Fashion was something I wanted to do from middle school. So this was my childhood dream.
Nice.
From middle school, high school, I actually started working. I told my parents when I got to high school that I wanted to make sure that I worked in my career. I didn't want to work at a McDonald's or anything that wasn't a part of what I wanted to do for my career. And I started at the Gap, was there 19 years, moved up the ladder from there. I only was making $5.75 when I started. Moved right up the ladder, then I went to luxury retail. And from luxury retail, I had the option to move to Chicago or to start my own career. My father had fell ill, so there was nothing that I could do to really pick up and just move and leave my mom and everybody like that. So I started Jus10H with 2 weeks of vacation. I had a couple of comp days. I had about 3 weeks of sick days and some 401k. So I had little to nothing, no customers, zero. And today, internationally, so.
Recognized internationally and from Springfield, Massachusetts. One of the things that I have liked about your journey is that you keep Springfield very present in everything that you do. Why is that something that for you has been important?
It has been important, and it still is. I have to keep it present. This is where I'm from. This is where I grew up. This is where the vision came from. So what I did not want to do is be like the norms, where I go to New York, I go to LA, I go to Atlanta, I go somewhere across seas and make it. My goal is to still make it here and always be from Springfield. Whether it is that I do happen to relocate a little later on as the business progresses, I always wanted Springfield to be a part of that because that's where I started. Springfield was here. Were they very present? Was Springfield very present when I started? This is not a fashion city. We all know that. But it was something that I wanted to make sure that my presence was known in fashion, not politics, not anything else. This is a very high politic music kind of area, very low in fashion. However, I felt that was an opportunity for me to do what I needed to do. So Springfield will always be present. This is where I started, whether Springfield gravitated to it or not, this is where I started. So I always want to make sure that that's where I gravitate to.
And Justin, you have a very, very unique, distinctive style in your clothing. I'm actually wearing one of your vests. It's amazing, beautiful, love it. We have one of your outfits here in the mannequin, even what you're wearing right now. Very iconic. I love the patches. I love the eclectic style. It's modern, but vintage. Are there any local influences for you in in developing your style? Anything in our region that you feel influenced that particularity of your design?
I wouldn't say anybody here influenced it. Let me correct you. That's a blazer you have on. So
blazer,
you're
sorry.
Blazers.
Thank
Everybody.
you for the correction.
Well, no, that's a blazer. But no, no one influenced me here. I'll say I had maybe one or two mentors. One mentor who actually taught me everything that I know is Miss Jessie Daniels. She taught me how to sew. She's the reason why I can make outfits like this. She's the reason why I can make this suit. She's the reason why I can make your blazer. She just took me, after my first show, she actually helped design and sew all my first pieces because I just was scared to do it. After that, she sat me down in her basement 6 months every day and just taught me everything from circles to blocks to how to work a sewing machine. And from there, after learning my skill and perfecting that, what brings that modern vintage out is I take a lot of inspiration from my childhood. So that's sitcoms, movies. That's where you feel the modern vintage from. I want to bring those eras back to this era. Why? Because that's what I grew up on. That's what I saw. That's what kind of built my fashion sense. So that's why I wanted to bring it back into this age.
And you've been called the king of colors. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really, I have to say, I'm humbled when anybody calls me the king of colors, when they call me internationally known, when they call me the tailor of the year, or whatever it is. I'm very humbled by that because it could be anybody. In this industry, you can be in one day, you can be out the next. So it's a humbling experience for anybody to see me and to automatically know who I am and to know that that's the color guy or that's the patch guy or that's the tailor. I don't take offense to that. I actually think that that's very humbling because they see something in my design, they see something in my work, and they automatically can sync both of that together to me.
Well, for one, the reason I became intrigued by your designs was precisely because of the patches and how you made that the different prints, but you've made them so cohesive into one design. It's beautiful art.
Thank you.
I want to know a little bit more about your experience in the New York Fashion Week, the Paris Fashion Week. How is that? Is it chaotic?
Of course, it's chaotic. I mean, it's definitely, it's not all what it looks like on TV, I'll say that. You have to, once you get backstage and once you get involved as much as I am, you find the ins and outs. However, I will say, being in the Fashion Week arena has helped me so much in building who I am. It's been amazing. 2018 was my first season of New York Fashion Week. I did the smallest show there was. I was just happy to be at New York Fashion Week. I did one of the small boutique fashion weeks. Long story short, we was in this small, it wasn't too small of a room. My parents, everybody came, my mom came, family came, so I'm thinking it's gonna be this, the elaborate Bryant Park. It wasn't. This is a smaller room, we were backstage, so I had to make the best of it. I had so many errors. My music wouldn't work, everything was just all out of whack. However, they made me last, which was fine. I walked out, and then on my final walk, I'll walk out, and then there's a guy that's sitting right there, and he's like, excellent work, you had the best tonight. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I didn't know who it was. You shook his hand and kind of let it go. 2 weeks later, they did the best of the small boutiques of New York Fashion Week, and I made number 2. And it was on Elle Magazine. That was the editor of Elle Magazine. So I have to say from there, that's when LA came. That's when Paris came. That's when everything just started trickling right back after another. So to be where I am in this industry of New York Fashion Week, and thanks to, I have to shout her out, Melissa Shea from Fashion Mingle, which is one of the top networking industries in New York Fashion Week. She's helped me and brought me so far to the point where I have backstage credentials at headquarters of New York Fashion Week. So it came from 2018 where I was a scared little small New York Fashion Week show to I'm actually on big stages. So it's very good, but it is a humbling experience and it is a chaotic experience because it's so hybrid and it's so fast paced where you've got to know the game and you have to be educated. And I say that to any designer or tailor that wants to get in that industry, make sure that you're educated. You have to be educated before you get in.
And Justin, you make customized pieces, correct?
Correct.
You have a brand, Jus10H, and you work out of a space in the Infield Mall.
Yeah.
Tell us about your space, about your creative process there, and tell us about how people can connect with you, for particular designs. I know that proms are coming up probably pretty soon and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So how can people that are interested in your designs contact you?
Well, Infield Square has been a milestone in my career. 10 years ago, when I started my first casting call, I called them all off and they didn't know who I was. I hadn't even made any pieces yet. They gave me the center court of the mall. That's when the mall was really like booming. Gave me center court of the mall. That was my first launch, okay? 13 years later, I call back the same manager, Melinda's there, and she offers me this space for my 40th birthday, which was my 72nd collection. So that's how I have the space, and it's kind of like God-driven, like he brought me back to where I started. So the creative space is at Infield Square Mall. I have storefront windows. I have a beautiful space where I do like my fashion shows, I do my photo shoots, any premieres, I do them all there. And that's where I do all my fittings and so on and so forth. So there is a link. You can definitely go on my website at Justin10H.com. If there is any inquiries on wanting anything, everything's custom, everything's one of ones, unless it is from Fashion Week or a photo shoot that's already ready to where you can grab it, but everything is custom and by appointment only.
And I'm excited that you have that accessibility, that you're able to have that accessibility with people that want to book your designs, because I, for one, see this as being something mainstream and reproduced massively. I see your brand going places because it's already gone places, but I see it in many stores, because it's beautiful. I love the print, I love the design, it's modern. Like I said, I think it appeals to not just that older crowd that feels nostalgic for a time period, but it also appeals to our younger generations that like this eclecticness and this mix of influences that make you as an artist.
Everyone says that. They say that my pieces need to be mass produced. I don't want them mass produced, believe it or not. But everyone else does, but I want to be that brand and that collection where, it's one of a kind. So even if I happen to go in Nordstrom's, it will just still be one of ones. Yeah. So it'll just be very boutique, very really streamlined, and very really clean and sleek. So when those 1-2 pieces are gone, then the next 1-2 pieces will come. So that's what I want.
Good. Are there any collaborations or any events coming up?
Of course, New York Fashion Week season is coming up. I do a lot, so for me to list all of it, it's like something comes every day.
Yeah.
But New York Fashion Week season is coming up in September. I have a lot of shows coming up, so if you guys just stick close to my pages, as things come up, I'll definitely post them.
Well, definitely. You can find all the social media platforms where you can reach Justin and stay in touch with what he's doing, learn about his events and how you can book him to create one of these beautiful designs specially tailored for you. Justin, what advice do you have for that new generation and that young crowd that's coming up now in our Western Mass region, Springfield, Chicopee, that look up to you as a fashion designer, that want to emulate what you've become and what you've achieved? What advice would you have for them?
What advice I'll give to anyone, because I have a lot of mentors. I have a lot of mentees that I mentor internationally, from Singapore to India now, Argentina, and so on and so forth. What I would say to anyone who wants to become a career in fashion, or even if you're just a regular entrepreneur and you want to start somewhere, you have to start just out playing right. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about what's people are gonna think or how it's gonna go. You have to start it. But when you start, you have to remain consistent. People will only be with a brand that's consistently going. So that means if you're consistently working on shoes, if you're consistently working on clothing, let that be what you're working on, and don't keep dabbling in different things, because that will make you inconsistent to your customers, and your customers really won't know how to patronize someone that's consistent. So I say consistent, get all the education you can get, and just make sure that you're perfecting your craft every day.
That's great advice. Justin, I also see that when you wear your outfits, you style them and pair them with very unique pieces, whether they're your glasses, whether they are your beard color, the shoes. Have you thought about starting to designing, or do you already do that, designing other than clothing, getting into like eyewear, shoe wear?
I probably will get into eyewear a little later. I
think
started.
that's iconic of you. You know?
I will probably get into it a little later. Like, I mean, it just goes to my consistency piece.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure that the brand is consistently known first before I start adding other things.
Yeah.
You know, but eyewear is number one. Eyewear and shoes. My mom can tell you I have a closet full of just shoes. So like shoes and eyewear are my number one accessory. So I think eventually I would get there. Shoes have started to be kind of like a streamline to segue there.
Yeah.
But you're right on target. Like those are my two main accessories
Awesome.
that I can't live without.
You mentioned your mom.
Yes.
And how was that support growing up?
My mom she supports all of us. I'm the middle child of three. So she supports all of us. But the support for this was actually amazing because any parent or anyone will, if you drop a job where you're making close to 8 figures and you just walk out and leave, you know, how supportive can they be? But just to say, you know what, hey, you know, you got to go with it. But my mom was one of those who was ultimately supported. You know, her main thing is if you follow what God says and you follow His lead, you can't go wrong. And every step of the way, from my start to now, she's always been supportive. Even if she's not sitting right there in front of the runway, she's online somewhere watching. So the support, I have to say, is absolutely amazing for my mom. I can't really speak of it enough. Like, she's making sure that she supports her son.
Mom, we want to thank you.
She's going to be watching this too.
We want to thank you for having supported Justin in his journey, because without that support, perhaps we wouldn't have these masterpieces that we have in front of us. So thanks, Mom. And I want to thank you, Justin. I want to thank you for coming to Spotlight on the Arts, for promoting your brand, for showing us, for gifting us with your talents. I am sure that our audience is thrilled with these creations, and I'm sure that they would want to contact you for some of these unique pieces that no one else will have once they purchase it from you. And that's the best thing of your offer, right? That you're giving people not just a masterpiece, but a unique masterpiece, not replicated. So I think that you're right, and perhaps mass producing might be a little bit off of your brand. So I understand that aspect, and I support that. I support that. Thank you so much for watching one more episode of Spotlight on the Arts. It was a pleasure to introduce to you Justin Haynes and his collection for Jus10H. Justin, once again, any message that you would like to have for your audience?
Just thank you all for your support. I appreciate everyone. Thank you all for having me, and keep styling.
Thank you so much for joining us in one more episode of Spotlight on the Arts, and I will see you all next time.